Welcome to Relation Tales. Please like this video and subscribe Relation Tales. Do you think it's a good idea to get married soon after meeting someone? Or should I wait longer? It's a tough decision, especially when you're sure you want to spend your life with that person. But sometimes it's better to wait before getting married because things might not always go smoothly. Luke Wallen was known as a really nice guy. People who knew him would agree. He was always friendly, listened to others, and gave support when needed. He was also funny and smart, but his close friends warned not to make him angry. Even though he usually didn't get annoyed easily, when he did, he could get really angry. Luke knew this about himself and would often say, "Yeah, I'm trying to work on that." Instead of spending a lot of money on college, Luke decided to work as a machinist while taking classes at night at the community college to get a business degree. He wanted to start his own machining business, making precise stainless steel parts needed for medical equipment. One evening, while in class, Luke met Willow Larson. Willow's parents didn't follow traditional paths and wanted Willow to just go with the flow in life. But Willow knew education was important for her goals. She was studying business to become a pharmaceutical salesperson and make good money right after school. Willow was really good at sales. If her friendly smile and beautiful blue eyes didn't catch your attention, her graceful movements and striking appearance definitely would. Luke and Willow crossed paths on a rainy evening after class. Luke offered his umbrella to Willow as they walked to the parking lot. Huddled close, Willow assessed Luke and was impressed by his appearance. A tall, muscular figure with long blonde hair and a hint of red stubble on his beard. Wow, he's like a Nordic deity. Willow mused to herself as they strolled through the rain. Similarly, Luke found himself enchanted by Willow's alluring voice, infectious smile, engaging personality, and a physique that rivaled any he had seen before. He savored every moment of their walk together, contemplating how to extend the enchantment of this encounter. Little did he know, he had nothing to worry about. By the time they reached Willow's car, she had already arranged a lunch appointment for the following day and extended an invitation to a small happy hour gathering on Friday evening. Their lunch together showed they had a lot in common, but it was the strong connection they felt on Friday night that made them almost inseparable. They started meeting up 4 or 5 times a week. They both loved being active, doing things like hiking, biking, playing tennis, and kayaking. But they also enjoyed simple things like eating meals together and spending passionate, romantic nights together. Luke knew pretty quickly that Willow was the one for him, and he couldn't wait to spend his life with her. Willow felt the same way, so they decided to get married. Willow's parents helped pay for the wedding, which would be a traditional church ceremony followed by a big party with about 100 guests. They planned to have an open bar, dinner, a DJ, and dancing. Luke's parents couldn't help much with the planning because they lived far away and were on a tight budget. But they did give $5,000 for the bar and Luke's tuxedo. Luke asked his older brother Todd to be his best man, along with his friends Jack and Dennis. Willow chose her best friend Linda to be her maid of honor, along with Brenda and Molly. Todd, who lived nearby, was not just Luke's brother, but also his close friend. He was a tall and strong mason, staying fit by lifting heavy bricks and blocks at work every day. With his wife, Evie, expecting their second child, Todd urged Luke to visit him after work. As Luke arrived on his Harley, Todd greeted him with a baby monitor in hand. "Hey, Luke, how's it going? You planning to part ways with that death trap motorcycle after tying the knot? Wouldn't want Willow to be stuck caring for a vegetable for the rest of your married life. Now would we? All right, old timer, let's hold off on the motorcycle intervention for now. I rely on it for stress relief, especially since Willow and her parents are going bonkers over these wedding arrangements. I rarely get a say, and I'm mostly kept in the dark about the plans. All I know is I'm backing the open bar while they handle everything else. Well, except for our tuxedos. Speaking of which, have you been measured yet? You're probably a unique order unless they've been dressing up a whole football team lately. Haha, funny guy. I'll get measured next week. Meanwhile, I'm still thinking up ideas for your big bachelor party with Dennis and Jack. So, how are things going with Luke and Willow in the love department? Everything's good. We've been really close lately. Willow can't seem to get enough. She says it's because she's nervous before the wedding and that being intimate relaxes her. Who am I to argue with that? Wow, that's too much information. I'm in a tough spot right now. I have to take care of a 2-year-old who keeps interrupting me, and my wife, who's 8 months pregnant, is stressed out. I really don't need to hear about your personal life right now. I'm barely managing to stay on my feet, and if I'm lucky, I can be there for my wife if she's not too tired. Todd, seriously, that's way too much information. You've crossed a line. But don't worry, in 18 years, you'll have plenty of alone time to relive your youth with your wife, just like Willow and I did last weekend. Let's change the subject. Here, do something useful. Todd gave him a baby monitor that wasn't working. He put in new batteries, but it still didn't work. Since Luke was good at fixing things, Todd asked him to take a look before buying a new one. No problem. I'll head home early now. There's probably nobody there yet, so I can check it out. Luke rode his Harley back to the two-bedroom house he shared with Willow. He parked the motorcycle in the garage to keep it dry from the expected rain. Inside, he plugged the base monitor into the wall and went down to his basement workshop. He quickly found the problem with a handheld receiver, a broken wire. Within 5 minutes, Luke had fixed it. As he finished up, he heard the door open upstairs through the baby monitor. He recognized Willow's voice and knew she was on the phone. He listened in and heard her tell someone named Dennis that Luke wasn't home and wouldn't be for about an hour. She suggested they meet up for some intimate time, knowing their opportunities would be limited once the wedding came around. So can you hurry over and tend to my needs? Luke couldn't make out Dennis's words, but what Willow said hit him like a ton of bricks, robbing him of breath and weakness. His legs buckled, and he collapsed to the ground. This can't be true. How could she be looking to cheat on me with a supposed good friend just 4 weeks before our wedding? I hate it. His attention returned to their conversation when he heard Willow continue. No, Dennis, I'm not ruling out that we can do this after the wedding. I just need time to think about everything. Right now, I'm not against us doing this because we're not in love with each other. It's just a physical attraction. I'm giving myself a little bit of freedom right before the wedding. But if we decide to continue after I get married, it has to be careful and safe because I can't risk Luke finding out. It would ruin everything for him and probably hurt him a lot. And I can't stand to hurt him like that. I love him too much. After a long silence, Willow said, with that, and dashed out the door. He couldn't believe what he had just heard. The future he had imagined with Willow, filled with love, children, and growing together, suddenly fell apart. He couldn't understand how Willow could be unfaithful already, especially at such an important time in their relationship. Like getting engaged, when feelings are usually strong. He thought to himself, just wait until she gets tired of me. She'll be with other men every week. There's no way I'm living like that with no trust in the woman I love. He ascended the stairs leisurely, and from the front window he spotted his ex-friend, Dennis Long, pulling up in his red Mustang. Willow, with a squeal, darted towards the car, hopped into the passenger seat, and planted a kiss on him before they sped off down the block. Filled with fury, Luke dashed to the garage, snatched a tire iron, darted behind it, mounted his Harley, and joined the street, trailing them at a safe distance. They navigated several intersections before hitting a county highway leading out of town. Approximately 4 miles beyond the town limits, there sprawled a vast park with undulating hills and a lake featuring various parking lots. Luke and his comrades were well acquainted with a secluded lot tucked away from view, shielded by trees on 3 sides and accessible via a road curving around the wooded area. Luke presumed that was Dennis's destination. Luke stopped his motorcycle by the side of the road and waited for about 10 minutes. He tried to calm down and waited for them to start so he could see how far his unfaithful wife would go. Then he drove to the turnoff that led to the parking lot. He parked his bike and walked quietly through the trees to where Dennis had parked. Luke took out his camera and started filming. He quietly walked to the back of the car and could hear Willow cheating on him. The sounds were clear. Luke filmed through the window as Willow paused and said, "Do it, Dennis, I want it." Luke got really angry, jumped up, and shouted out the window, "You're crazy." Willow was lying on her back and Dennis was on top, but Luke's yelling interrupted them. Willow opened her eyes and pleaded, "Oh my God, no, Dennis, stop. This is wrong. You can't do that." Luke didn't believe Willow's weak excuses. Meanwhile, Dennis was talking to Luke through the window. "Luke, dude, this is not what you think. There's nothing wrong with that. She loves you, not me. Just harmless entertainment before the wedding." Luke exploded with a painful burst of emotion, screamed, and waving the tire iron over his head, smashed the rear window. Dennis moved to open the door, but Luke's shout made him freeze in place. "If you open this door and go out, you're in trouble." Dennis saw the madness in Luke's eyes and realized that he was risking his life by getting out of the car. Without hesitation, Luke walked around the car, smashing all the windows in his path. The safety glass shattered and sparkled in the sun, scattering like shrapnel. With each step, he ripped off the side mirrors and broke the headlights. When he got to the other side, he scraped the car's surface with the tire iron, exposing the metal underneath the red paint. Then he smashed the rear side window with a tire iron. Dennis tried to escape, but Luke forcefully opened the door, grabbed Dennis by the hair, and pulled him out of the car. Raising his hand, Luke struck Dennis hard. When Dennis doubled over in pain, Luke hit him again, this time on the jaw. Willow cowered in the back seat, as far from the open door as she could, looking at Luke with a mix of fear and guilt. Through her tears, she begged him, "Please, Luke, stop. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. It doesn't mean anything. Please, we need to stay strong. Get through this and get married. Baby, I only love you. Dennis is just a toy. He really doesn't mean anything to me. Come on, baby. Take me home and I'll prove to you that you're the only one I love." Luke's face twisted with disgust as he looked at her, then turned to Dennis. "You're both awful," he said. "Willow, you're a disgrace, and you, Dennis, are just as bad. I can't believe you're betraying me like this, sleeping with my fiancée and pretending to be my friend. You're both wrong. I never want to see either of you again, or you'll regret it." He spat, his voice filled with anger. "And you, how could you do this to me? I thought our love was strong, but it was all a lie. I can't even look at you right now. Stay away from me." Willow cried, begging Luke not to leave and saying she loved him. But Luke interrupted her, saying, "You're not the woman I thought you were. I don't want to hear your excuses." He walked back to his motorcycle and rode away, leaving Willow crying on the ground. Meanwhile, Dennis remained sprawled on the ground amidst the shattered glass and paint chips from his cherished Mustang. Luke sped off, his destination unknown, simply letting the Harley tear down the road at breakneck speed. Eventually, he gained control over his emotions and hours later found himself at his brother's house. Upon hearing the Harley's arrival, Todd opened the door to find Luke sitting on the steps, curled up and weeping as if his world had just crumbled. As Luke relayed the tale to Todd, the imposing figure sat down and draped his arm around his younger sibling, remarking, "Wow, that's really tough, buddy. I never would have imagined that happening in a million years. It's baffling how we misjudged Willow's character so completely that we failed to see this betrayal coming. I'm truly sorry, Luke. And if I cross paths with Dennis, I'll make sure he pays for what he did, especially since you already dealt with him once." Well, I guess it's better we found out now rather than later, after we're married. It's better to cancel the wedding now than go through a painful divorce later, especially if we have kids. Avoiding a problem is better than dealing with it later. So, what's your plan now? One thing's for sure, there's no point in getting fitted for the tuxedo, and I'll tell Jack the same. I'll also call our parents and tell them not to come. I won't marry someone who's cheating on me before we even get married. I'm sure that marriage would be a disaster, and I won't spend years worrying if my wife is with someone else and convincing myself it's okay. That's nonsense. Luke's phone rang, displaying Willow's name along with several missed calls and a voicemail. There was also a missed call from an unknown number. He rejected Willow's call, which went to voicemail, and as he was about to put his phone away, he received another call from the unfamiliar number. Answering cautiously, he asked, "What's up? Is this Luke Wallen?" "Yeah, who's asking?" Later, Gerard from the 4th Precinct. "We've received a complaint of assault and property damage from a Dennis Long alleging you as the perpetrator. You need to come down to the precinct within the next 30 minutes, or I'll issue a warrant for your arrest and an app. A patrol car is already stationed outside your residence. You should come with us for questioning. It's important." Luke looked at Todd and quietly said, "Uh-oh, I'm in trouble." Then he told the police, "Okay, I'll be there in 30 minutes. Lieutenant, should I have a lawyer with me?" The officer replied, "You might go before a judge today. It's your choice if you want a lawyer. But considering the damage to the car and your friend being hurt, it's a good idea to have one. If you don't have one, we'll get you one. But don't wait." Todd overheard and called his friend Mikey, who they knew from school and playing softball together. "Mikey, my brother's in trouble. He's accused of hurting someone and damaging property. He'll be at the police station in 30 minutes. Can you be there to help him?" Todd glanced at Luke as he finished the call and said, "I'll be there for you once they figure things out. Let Mikey do the talking. Stay calm, and hopefully you won't go to jail. It might have been better to just record what happened and walk away, instead of seeking revenge. But I understand. If I were in your shoes, I might have lost my temper too and damaged Dennis's car. So let's not worry about what could have been. We're here now and need to deal with it." The next morning, Todd fetched his brother from jail. Luke had spent the night behind bars and appeared before the judge in the morning. As expected, Luke was told to post a $10,000 bail bond or remain in custody. Mikey advised Luke to speak with Dennis, apologize, and cover the damages and hospital fees. But Luke vehemently refused. Luke returned home to find that Willow was no longer there. He proceeded to gather all his belongings, including clothes, toiletries, CDs, and his stereo system, and relocated them to the guest bedroom at his brother's house. Before leaving, he also took the baby monitor, remarking to his brother, "It's been working perfectly." Maybe it was lucky for me, stopping me from making a big mistake. A week later, Luke hadn't replied to any of Willow's calls or messages. He cringed at her messages, where she made excuses and downplayed what happened. At first, she said Dennis had taken advantage of her, and she only meant to kiss him before committing to Luke. But Luke knew that wasn't true from their first phone call. In another message, she said Dennis didn't mean anything to her, but she admitted they used to date. She said she was confused about marrying one man for life and wanted one last fling before getting married. She promised she wouldn't cheat once they were married, but Luke didn't believe her. In her last message, she begged, "Luke, our wedding is only 3 weeks away. Please, Luke, we need to talk and sort this out. I love you, Luke, and I'm deeply sorry for what I've done and how I've hurt you. It hurts me too, Luke, because I can't bear to lose you. I've learned from my mistake, and I promise I'll never betray you again. But please, Luke, let's not throw away our love. We need to move past this and go through with the wedding." Luke felt sick hearing that, but he realized he owed it to her, and especially her parents, to have one final discussion about canceling or at least postponing the wedding. Despite his love for her, he struggled with the decision to end things for good or possibly give their relationship another chance. Regardless, the wedding in 3 weeks was off the table. While he was wondering how to approach her, the sound of Todd's doorbell interrupted his thoughts. Luke was stunned to see Molly in the doorway, but invited her in. Upon hearing the news, she quickly hugged him, expressing her condolences. Taking a step back, he took a moment to observe her appearance. Molly was wearing the shortest shorts he had ever seen. Sighing, Luke invited her to go to the backyard and talk. When they sat down at the picnic table, he asked, "Did Willow tell you about what happened? And she told you the truth?" "Luke, Willow adores you deeply, and she's in a lot of pain right now. She is devastated by the thought that her actions could have hurt you and jeopardized the wonderful future she sees with you. I'm here on her behalf to make amends. She wants you to have one last moment for yourself, so you both feel balanced and can go to the wedding without any lingering bad feelings. At her request, I'm here to make sure you're fully satisfied. And Luke, I'm happy to help." With that, Molly winked and showed off her figure, but she completely misunderstood the situation. Luke was angry because Willow had asked Molly to sleep with him, thinking it would fix things. He was also disappointed that Molly agreed, but she didn't seem bothered. Despite feeling upset, Luke smiled at her. "Molly, I'll get us a beer. I'll be right back." Luke left, thinking about how he could turn this situation to his advantage. When he returned with a beer, he took a sip and thought about a plan that he could carry out with Molly. "Molly, I don't think this is going to solve my problems right now. One of the main problems I'm facing is the upcoming trial, which is only a few weeks away. Most likely, I will end up in prison either before or after the wedding. Besides, the honeymoon is canceled because I was ordered not to leave the city. You've heard about the assault charges and what I did to Dennis in his car, right? Oh yeah, Willow mentioned that you've turned into a real Rambo. It really shocked her. No one could have predicted that you would lose your temper like this. It's just not like you. Yes, I let my pain and anger get out of control. But maybe you and Willow could help me. She'll do her best, and I'm here for you too. Well, Molly, here's the thing. My lawyer offered Dennis a settlement, offering to cover his car expenses and hospital bills if he dropped the charges. He basically told my lawyer to go to hell. But maybe you or Willow could convince him to accept the offer. Perhaps if you had offered yourself to him, he would have agreed to drop the charges. It would really help me. Molly, do you think you could do that? If Willow disagrees, maybe she really loves Dennis and it's over between us anyway. What do you think? I'd rather be with you than with that jerk Dennis. But if it helps fix things between you and Willow, then of course I'll do it. I've always been curious to get to know him better. Willow always talked highly of him." Luke winced at her words, but he quickly stood up, hugged her, kissed her cheek, and told her to keep him updated. Then he texted Willow, telling her that Molly would talk to her about his idea to move forward and asked for her thoughts. Meanwhile, at home, Willow talked to her longtime friend Linda about the problems with the wedding. Linda, Willow's companion since 4th grade, having grown close to Luke over the years, she considered him one of her closest confidants too. Linda exploded in fury. "Willow, How could you betray Luke like that? I understand you have a promiscuous streak, but you assured me you'd stop sleeping around once you were engaged. And now you're claiming you'll stop once you're married. Honestly, I doubt your sincerity. How is Luke supposed to trust you? Oh, come on, Linda, it was just a meaningless fling to ease pre-wedding nerves. I'll admit I panicked at the thought of monogamy for life, so I did something stupid. But sleeping with Dennis meant nothing to me, or so I thought until I saw how much it hurt Luke. Seeing how much Luke was hurting was really hard. Linda, who had been friends with Willow for over 15 years, thought Willow wasn't really thinking about Luke. Instead, she was more worried about herself, as usual. Linda felt bad that they got caught, that Luke was in trouble, and that Dennis got hurt. But Willow didn't seem sorry for what she did. Linda thought, "You don't deserve someone as great as Luke." But she kept her thoughts to herself. Just then, Molly rushed into the room. Molly told Willow about Luke's plan, and after a quick talk, they decided to try to convince Dennis to go along with it. Willow said, "Molly, you'll have to handle Dennis yourself because Luke won't let me do this again." Molly said, "No problem, I'll handle it." Willow turned to Linda and said, "Linda, it looks like you'll have to sleep with Luke. That way he'll feel like we're even, and I can convince him that we can move past our mistakes and have a happy marriage." "Will you do this for me, Linda? You're my maid of honor and my oldest friend. I'd do the same for you if our roles were reversed." Linda agreed reluctantly, but only if Dennis dropped the charges so the wedding could happen. Within 48 hours, Molly and Dennis had done their part, and Dennis dropped the charges. Willow kept calling Luke, leaving messages where she took credit for the plan's success and begged for forgiveness, asking him to start preparing for the wedding again. She also wanted Linda to convince Luke to sleep with her. Luke didn't know what to do. He knew marrying Willow in this situation wouldn't be smart, but he still cared about her and wanted to make things right. He also felt guilty about the financial losses her family would face if he canceled the wedding plans. "Damn," Luke muttered to himself. "I need to hear her side of the story and understand why she betrayed me like that." Reluctantly, he suppressed his anger as much as he could and dialed her number. "Luckily, Luke, you reached out to me. Darling, I deeply regret what you witnessed in my actions. Please understand, Luke, it has nothing to do with you. You are my ideal partner, and I adore you endlessly. I yearn to be your devoted wife forever. I realize you're hurt. But can we get past this, make up, and move on together? Willow, I know this isn't the first time you've cheated. Why did you do it? How many times? Doesn't our love and commitment, especially now that we're engaged, matter to you? Seriously, Willow, how can I trust you again? Luke, I'm sorry to say it's happened more than once with Dennis, but it didn't mean anything to me. It was just a way to say goodbye to my single days and try things out before we get married. I promise, Luke, I won't do it again. You're everything to me, and no one else compares to the way you make me feel when we're together. You have no reason to doubt me. I've learned my lesson, my love. Trust me. Willow, that's the problem. I'm trying my best to trust you. How could you betray me like that? You claim to love me, but you're actually dating someone else. What happens when you get bored in our marriage? How will I feel when you come home late for the first time without any explanation? I'm struggling to see how this can work. Luke, my meetings with other men don't mean anything compared to my love for you. I want to be with you. It shouldn't bother you. It's just physical, and it doesn't change what we have. It's just a temporary thing, and then I come back to you, my love. Please come home, and I'll show you how much I love you and how good life can be together. Willow, you're making this hard. It seems like you won't stop. Are you suggesting we have an open marriage? Luke, I want to be with you. If we agreed to an open marriage, that would be fine with me. But I really want to be with you. If you refuse and we get married, I will be devoted to you and only to you. I promise. Willow, you're ruining me. You betrayed my trust and love. I feel like my heart has been ripped out and thrown away. Right now, I'm so confused that every time I think about you, I imagine how you cheated on me. How does this fit in with our wedding vows? And how many times? How many times is this going to happen? No matter what you say, I probably won't believe it. Willow, I need to go before I get really angry and say something I'll regret. I'll call you later. You've given me a lot to think about. Luke hung up the phone and went outside to get some fresh air, feeling really confused. Willow talking about having an open marriage made him realize that there wouldn't be any trust or loyalty between them, and she would probably cheat on him if they got married. This wasn't what he imagined marriage to be like at all, and he couldn't believe Willow had lied to him like that. With the wedding just a few weeks away, he started to see Willow's true character and personality. Amidst his descent into a pit of anger and despair, he received a call from Linda. "Luke, I'm heading over to Todd's place shortly. Want to join me for a ride?" He sighed, assuming it was another attempt to reunite him with Willow. However, Linda had become one of his closest confidants, and he felt compelled to confide in her and seek her perspective. "Sure, Linda. I'll be there in a moment." He climbed into her car, and as they pulled away from the curb and began driving, he poured out the whole troubling narrative of recent events, showing her the video, and expressing his confusion and distress over how to proceed. Linda pulled into a grocery store parking lot, parked at a distance from other cars, switched off the engine, and turned to look at Luke. "Luke, I need to talk to you about something, so please just listen to me. First of all, I immensely appreciate our friendship and deeply respect you for the kind of person you are. Willow is making a huge mistake by betraying you. She's selfish and doesn't think about anyone but herself. She's counting on your forgiveness, no matter what she does. She even asked me to sleep with you to even the score between the two of you. Damn it, Linda. I can't believe this is actually happening." Luke started to open the car door, but Linda screamed, "Luke, you promised to listen, so please give me a chance." He nodded, closed the door, and turned to face her. "All right, Linda, tell me how you think you can convince me that Willow and I are on the same level." "Luke, I'm telling you this because you deserve to know what Willow wanted me to do. But I want you to know I would never betray you like that. I have too much respect for you, for myself, and for our friendship to be part of such a dishonest plan to get you two back together. Honestly, I don't want you to reconcile with Willow. She'll just end up hurting you, and I can't stand to see you suffer. My feelings for you are more than just friendship. I think I might love you. I'm not telling you this to try to be with you. I simply want to ensure you understand how special you are. There will be other women after Willow. If not me, then someone else who will recognize what an incredible person you are. I'm telling you this so you can envision the potential of your future, as opposed to what it would be with Willow. Luke, she's been unfaithful to you throughout your entire relationship, not just with Dennis. To her, sleeping with others is trivial, like having a drink or dancing with someone else. She cares for you, but she'll never love you the way you deserve because she won't change. She'll continue to cheat and lie, expecting forgiveness if caught, and repeating the cycle. Luke, it's time to prioritize your own well-being, not Willow, her family, or the wedding guests. It's about you. And remember, I'll stand by you, supporting whatever choice you make." She started the car and they drove quietly to Todd's house. When they arrived, she said to him, "Choose wisely, Luke, and believe that there's someone out there who can love you as you deserve." Luke saw tears in her eyes as he closed the car door, and she drove away. 2 hours later, Luke was writing an email while looking at the list of 100 wedding guests. He titled the email, "To our beloved friends, family, and wedding guests." He wrote, "Some time ago, we happily sent out invitations to our wedding, announcing the eternal love and commitment between Willow and me. We invited you to celebrate with us as we began our journey together, not just as partners in love, but also as each other's support, best friends, and lifelong companions. That's what I thought marriage meant. However, I recently found out that Willow sees things differently. It hurts me to say that Willow is more inclined towards open relationships, something she never told me. I was shocked and disappointed to find out that Willow cheated on me with one of my close friends and best man, Dennis Long. Not only that, but she also had romantic relationships with other people while we were dating and engaged. I caught Willow and Dennis in a compromising situation, and even though I have proof of their cheating, I've chosen not to expose them or lower myself by sharing it. But the betrayal I saw is something I won't forget, a clear sign of deceit and disloyalty. These weren't just innocent hugs or flirting. They were intimate actions that showed a lack of respect for our relationship. It's clear to me that Willow doesn't truly love me the way I deserve. I believe a life partner should honor and cherish our love, being honest and faithful, and only sharing emotional and physical closeness that strengthens our bond. I've always wanted to give that kind of devotion to my partner. It's clear that Willow and I aren't meant to be together. With a mix of sadness and relief, I have to cancel our engagement, relationship, and wedding. I'm sad to lose someone I cared about so much, if she felt the same way. Relief comes from realizing Willow's incompatible views on relationships early on, sparing myself from potential years of turmoil. I'm grateful to have avoided a disastrous marriage. I extend my apologies to Willow's family, who likely remain unaware of her true nature and recent actions leading to this decision. Willow should be the one apologizing to them and everyone involved. I deeply regret having to deliver this news in such a manner. especially considering the kindness her family showed me. However, I believe it's crucial for Willow to learn the importance of honesty and accountability. I refuse to be portrayed as the villain who abandoned the marriage, hence why I'm setting the record straight. To all those fortunate enough to be in a loving and respectful marriage, I deeply admire what you share and aspire to find such a connection one day myself. For those who are single or just starting out in relationships, stay vigilant and choose your partner wisely. And when you feel you found the right person, shower them with your respect, love, trust, and dedication. Best wishes. Luke Wallen. After Luke sent the email, things got chaotic. Willow's parents called him angrily, threatening to sue him to get back the money they'd already spent on the wedding plans. Luke replied, "Did you teach Willow that being faithful and loyal in marriage doesn't matter? Is that how you behave in your own marriage? Are you proud of what Willow did? Maybe it's you or Willow who should take responsibility for the wedding falling apart and the money lost, not me." That seemed to end the argument, at least with her family. Willow sent Luke a bunch of mean emails, calling him immature and stubborn, and saying true love could overcome anything. But she also said she didn't want anything to do with him anymore, feeling really embarrassed and humiliated. She told him to go away angrily. Because of this, she lost the respect of her family and friends. Instead of finding serious people interested in relationships, she only attracted those looking for casual flings, basically just one-night stands. Later, Molly told Luke that Willow was starting to realize how much she lost because Luke chose real love over a meaningless affair. Dennis faced a lot of confrontations around town whenever he saw Todd or one of Luke's friends. His close group of friends stopped talking to him, and last anyone heard, he moved out west. Luke had to deal with a lot of embarrassment and awkward talks because of the email he sent and how he handled canceling the wedding. But in all the chaos, Luke found comfort in his family's unwavering support. They were especially proud when they found out Luke turned down Willow's offer to get back together through intimate relations with her bridesmaid. The most important thing was Luke's growing relationship with Linda. Like Luke, she was pushed away by Willow, but they leaned on each other as friends to deal with losing a partner and a close friend. As time passed, their connection grew into a deep love and commitment, something they both deserved. Their marriage will definitely be strong and lasting, built on trust and loyalty. They look forward to a life together filled with love, sharing, and unwavering dedication, getting stronger every day. Second story, just got cheated on. It's our anniversary 220M, 21F. I'm feeling sick right now. This just happened about half an hour ago. I don't have anyone to text, so I'm sharing it here. I'm a 20-year-old guy, been with my girlfriend for 3 years, and we've never had any problems in our relationship or sex life. But lately, she's been acting a bit strange sometimes, though I've ignored it. Today, I finished my work early, so I decided to surprise her with her favorite flowers and food. When I got to our apartment, I tried to be quiet to catch her off guard. But as soon as I opened the door, I heard clapping, moaning, and grunting coming from our bedroom. The bedroom door was open, and I could hear it all clearly. And there were a pair of men's shoes at the entrance that I've never seen before. I froze for maybe 5 seconds before quietly backing back out. I've been out in my car since just thinking of what to do. I'm 100% kicking her out, but I'm just so confused. Just sat here listening to tunes while thinking what approach to take. Not really looking for sympathy, but I've had struggles with depression before. Walking into that has my mind completely fucking scrambled. Thanks for joining us on this chapter of Relation Tales. If you were moved by these stories, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Don't miss out on the upcoming emotional roller coaster of relationships. Your support means the world, and we can't wait to share more compelling tales with you. Until next time, remember, every relationship has a story worth telling. See you soon. Welcome to Relation Tales. Please like this video and subscribe Relation Tales. My job sometimes required me to work late nights, weekends, and go on business trips. Stacy, my wife, didn't mind because it was part of my job. She used to work too, but after our son Jason was born, she decided to stay home and take care of him. We lived in a nice house in a good neighborhood with great schools and neighbors. Besides my work schedule, everything was going well. I had a great wife, a growing family, and a job I liked that provided for us. Things got complicated when we had our second child. You see, we had difficulty getting pregnant with Jason, and the doctor told me I had a low sperm count. But we were told we could still have children if we tried harder. I was fine with that because my wife and I had a healthy and enjoyable sex life. 3 years after Jason was born, Michelle came along. It was a bit of a surprise, but a happy one. After Michelle was born, we decided not to have any more kids because Stacy said taking care of them was a big job. Over the years, we had some problems and arguments like any couple, but we always talked about them and found solutions. Then, Stacy had some health issues and went to see a specialist. It turned out to be nothing serious, she said, but it meant we couldn't have sex for a while. She never told me exactly what the problem was, just reassured me not to worry. Looking back, maybe I should have been more careful then. I still work a lot at my job, but it's paying off because I've been getting promotions every 3-4 years. I think I'll become the boss of the manufacturing department at work in a year or two. Then I'll have more free time to spend with my family. My son Jason is almost finished with high school, and my daughter Michelle is starting soon. They're both good at sports, and I like to think they got that from me. Jason is great at baseball, and Michelle loves soccer and softball. They do well in school and have lots of friends. Jason has had a few girlfriends, and now Michelle is old enough to start dating, which worries me. Stacy thinks about going back to work now that Jason will soon be off to college and Michelle can take care of herself. It seems like a good idea to me, as long as it doesn't mess up our family routine. Stacy found a part-time job as a salesperson at a big store. I manage a department store in the mall, so she gets an employee discount there. A few months after she started working, I was supposed to be in a long meeting with a supplier, but it got canceled suddenly. Since her workplace was close to my office, I decided to surprise her by visiting during my lunch break. I knew she worked in the jewelry department, so I went there. But when I got there, I couldn't find her. When the person at the counter asked if I needed help, I asked if Stacy was working today. She said, "No, she's not scheduled until tomorrow." I needed to make hotel reservations and other plans soon. I asked when she could talk to Stacy. He said he'd call her because she was still at home and didn't have to work until 8 a.m. He made the call while I listened to his side of the conversation, then hung up. She said she'd send her schedule for the next month by fax later this morning. "Is that okay?" he asked, smiling. "That's perfect. Thank you, Sam. Please thank your wife for me too," he said. About an hour later, I got my wife's work schedule and saw she was only working 10 to 12 hours a week. But she had told me she was working 18 to 25 hours. Why was she lying to me? I felt a cold feeling as I thought about possible reasons, but I didn't have time to think about it because I had meetings all day. I found it hard to focus at work, kept getting lost in thought, trying to figure out what was going on with my wife. After the final meeting, I returned to my office, closed the door, analyzed my wife's schedule, and even compiled a spreadsheet which I then uploaded to my iPhone. What was she doing when not at work? I needed to discover this, so I went online to seek a method to track her movements. Soon I compiled a list of devices suitable for the task, along with some additional useful items. I opted to avoid any trace on our credit or bank statements, so on my way home, I bought a prepaid debit card with cash. The next day I ordered all the necessary items and had them delivered to my office. It would take a few days for them to arrive, so meanwhile I devised a plan for what to do should I uncover the worst. Sitting at my computer, I listed potential reasons why my wife might lie about her hours with infidelity at the forefront. If true, our marriage was gravely endangered, but I found it hard to believe she would be unfaithful. I thought our marriage was going fine, at least that's what I thought. Even though we weren't as intimate as before, we still made love 2-3 times a week. Maybe it had become a bit routine, but did that mean she had to cheat? By the next week, the things I ordered had arrived at my job. Now, I just needed to set them up. I bought a tracker for her car that I could control with my iPhone or iPad to see where she went. I also got some voice-activated recorders and spy cameras for our bedroom, and a really good camera with a strong zoom. It made me sad to think I needed all these gadgets. It felt like our marriage had gotten to a really bad point. I was about to start spying on my wife to find out if she was cheating. I really hoped I was wrong, but I couldn't shake the feeling of doubt, so I had to find out the truth. The next morning, I rose slightly earlier than usual and installed the voice recorder and tracking device in my wife's car. Afterwards, I headed to work, and once there, I reviewed her work schedule to determine her availability. She wasn't scheduled for today, but I decided to call her too. I inquired directly. I picked up my office phone, dialed her number quickly, and greeted her. "Hi, Ann. I just arrived at work, but forgot to ask if you were working today." "Oh, yes I am. I'll be home before you," she replied, evidently lying again. "Okay, just checking. Hope you have a good day at work." "I love you," I managed to say, even though it was hard. With the tracker in her car, I could see where she went. I planned to go home later and put up the spy cameras and voice recorders to see if she was bringing someone into our house. Just thinking about it made me furious. She had to explain why she betrayed me and our kids. I checked my iPad all morning to see if she left the house. Around 10 a.m., I saw she was on the move. I thought it was the right time to set up the rest of the stuff. I told my assistant I needed to go home for a few hours and would be back after lunch. Then I started putting the equipment in our bedroom to get the best view without being seen. I decided to check on Stacy's whereabouts. I looked on my iPod and noticed she was at the shopping center. Perhaps she had to go into work after all. I thought I'd visit unexpectedly once more. Arriving at the mall, I spotted her car parked far from the entrance of her workplace, which I found peculiar. I took out the new digital camera and snapped a few photos. I parked close to the store and headed directly to the jewelry section. There I encountered the same sales associate who had assisted me previously. "Hello, is Stacy here today?" I asked. "I'm sorry, sir, but she quit last week," the woman said. When I asked her about it, she said it was because of her personal life. She smiled and asked if there was anything else she could help with. "No, thank you," I said, trying not to show my frustration. If Stacy had been there, I might have talked to her about it. I realized that this lying had been happening for a while, but I didn't know how long or who else was involved. I decided I had to find out the truth and talk to Stacy and whoever she was hiding. Instead of going back to the office, I stayed in the parking lot and found a spot where I could watch her car without her noticing me. The camera on my phone let me zoom in from far away, so I could watch quietly and take pictures if I needed to. It was almost 2 p.m. when another car parked next to hers. I saw her get out of the passenger side, lean over, talk for a bit, and then smile. That made me really angry. I took some pictures of her and the other car. I couldn't see who was driving, but I noticed the car had dealer plates. There were only a few car dealerships nearby, so I thought I might be able to find out which one it came from. By then, she had probably gone home. I sat there thinking about what I saw and decided to drive by a few dealerships to see if I could find the car. As I approached, I noted the signs and flags advertising significant discounts or new models. Although I wasn't searching for a new car, my focus was on finding the individual my wife was spending time with. I checked several dealerships but did not find the car. I refrained from exiting my vehicle as that could alert the person betraying me. Then I realized I had yet to obtain conclusive evidence of their affair. I knew I needed to catch them together, but that dilemma would have to wait. I was preparing for a 3-day business trip to meet a client the following week and needed to concentrate. I returned home at the usual time. Everything seemed normal. Reminding my wife of the trip, I fibbed again. "Sorry, honey, but they want us to stay for the whole week. I should be back by Saturday afternoon," I said, hoping it wouldn't be a problem for her. "No, that's okay," she smiled, but I started to wonder if she had plans with her other partner. I wanted to catch them and solve this problem for good. I went to bed and pretended to sleep while I thought about what to do. The next morning, I put the issue aside and focused on my work. The week went by quickly, and I was supposed to leave on Sunday afternoon. My son offered to drive me to the airport, but I could tell something was bothering him as we drove. He paused, then said, "Dad, I don't know how to tell you this, but I think you should know." Mom was having trouble getting the words out, so I assisted her. She confessed she was having an affair. "Yes, I know. Is that what you were trying to tell me?" He looked at me with a blend of surprise and sadness. "Are you going to divorce her?" "I haven't decided yet." "How did you learn she was involved with someone else a few weeks ago?" "My baseball practice was canceled because of rain, and I returned home several hours early. It was raining heavily when I got there, so they didn't see me come in, but I heard them. I went to the bedroom and saw them together. I was so shocked, I didn't know what to do, so I left and went to a friend's house. I came back a few hours later, and he was gone, and Mom seemed like she'd showered. Tears welled up in his eyes as he told me this. I felt like hurting her right then. "Does Michelle know?" I asked. He shook his head. "No, I don't think so, and I won't tell her. You know how she gets when she's angry." "Good," I said, "because I want to save our family. Just act normal around Mom and Michelle. If you need to talk, call me." We got to the airport, and I hugged my son. "Stay strong, okay? And take care of Michelle. Call me if you need anything." Then I met up with my coworkers. We checked in and got on our flight. The trip went well. We made a big deal with a new client after a few days of meetings. We were celebrating with lunch when Jason called me urgently. "You need to come home now." His voice was filled with panic. What's wrong? What happened? Now I was alarmed. It's Michelle. She discovered Mum's affair, and it wasn't pretty. You need to come home. Is she injured? What happened? He didn't elaborate. Just urged me to come home quickly. I excused myself, explaining I had a family emergency and checked out of the hotel. Once at the airport, I caught the next flight home. It was only a 2-hour flight, but it felt much longer. Upon landing, Jason was there to meet me. Okay, what the hell happened? How did Michelle find out about your Mum's affair? Jason looked at me similarly. She took matters into her own hands. Her softball practice was canceled and she came home early. She found them together in bed, just like I did. The difference is she grabbed her softball bat and attacked him. I looked at Jason in astonishment, but he was grinning broadly. He won't be able to walk for a while, and I really doubt he'll have sex again, she said, shocked. Michelle told me before the police took her. They were having sex when she walked in on them. She was just as surprised and angry as I was. So she went back to her room, got her bat, and started hitting him. After she thought she'd done enough, she called 911 and said there was a criminal attacking her mom and asked for the police and paramedics. I had just gotten home and could hear the man crying out in pain. When the police got there, they questioned Mom, Michelle, and the man, Kevin. Michelle kept saying since it wasn't her dad with her mom, it had to be an attack. So she did what she thought was right. Jason couldn't stop smiling. This isn't funny, I said, but then I started laughing. When we arrived home, I found Stacy sitting on the couch looking distraught. I went over to her and embraced her. I realize this has been highly distressing, but I'm convinced with some comforting. You'll be all right. I exaggerated the assault part so she wouldn't suspect I was aware of the truth. She shivered. Oh God, then she started to weep. I turned to Jason. Where is Michelle now? She is still at the police station. I wasn't sure what action to take. I stood up, took out my phone and dialed our family attorney. I informed him of what occurred. I inquired if he could suggest a reliable lawyer for this case. He mentioned they had one at their firm and that he would join me at the police station within an hour. Then I pulled Jason aside to speak with him so Stacy couldn't listen. I don't want your mom to know that we are aware of her affair. As far as we are concerned, Michelle was pursuing a criminal. Okay, he smiled. Understood. You need to stay here and console her. I'm going to fetch Michelle and bring her home. I was at the police station talking with the desk officer and waiting for the attorney. Then he showed up, dressed very professionally in his suit and tie. We worked on getting Michelle released. It seemed like Kevin wanted to press charges against Michelle for assault. I asked if my wife planned to press charges against Kevin. They said no. I realized she was in a tough spot. If she didn't press charges, she'd have to admit to the affair, and Michelle might go to jail. But if she did press charges, Kevin might say they were having an affair, and Michelle could still end up in jail. I felt proud of Michelle for trying to protect her mom from what seemed like an attack, but also sad that she had to find out about the affair this way. Right then, I knew our marriage was finished. It took several hours, but Michelle was discharged to me with a commitment to appear in court within a few days. I embraced my daughter tightly as she wept. I'm sorry, Daddy, but I had to stop him, she sobbed. It's fine, baby. You did the right thing, and I'm so proud of you. I was crying now. Can we go home now? Absolutely, sweetie. Absolutely. As soon as we were home, Jason gave Michelle a large hug as she entered. How are you feeling? She sniffed. Better now that I'm home. I looked around the living room. Where is your mother? She went to rest. That's bad when you divorce her. Sorry. Can I live with you both? Jason and I looked at Michelle. Honey, who said I was going to divorce your mother? Well, I just assumed since she has been unfaithful. Both Jason and I looked at her. What? She said. I heard them talking before I confronted him, but... Then she added with a smile, and I don't think he'll be able to have sex anytime soon. Maybe not ever again. I couldn't help but chuckle. I need to talk to your mom first, so let's hold off on talking about divorce. Why don't you guys go to bed? It's been a long day for everyone. I went upstairs and found Stacy asleep on our bed, face down. I grabbed some clothes and went to sleep in the guest room. It was late, and I didn't see the point in waking her up to hear her side of the story. It took me a while, but I eventually fell asleep. The next morning, I woke up at about 10 a.m., feeling better, and went downstairs for some coffee. Jason and Michelle were at the kitchen table talking. They saw me coming and both got up to hug me. Jason said, Dad, you look terrible. Are you all right? I nodded. Yeah, just really tired. Is Mom awake? They both shook their heads. Michelle said, Not yet. What will happen now? Will I have to go to jail? I'd rather be in jail than have to live with her. Michelle, you don't mean that. Look, whatever happens, your mother loves you, no matter what she has done to our marriage. I'll speak with her and find out what we can arrange. I'm not very hopeful, though. I had no expectations when suddenly Stacy appeared in the doorway. Please, please give me a chance, she cried. I don't want to lose you or our family. Can't we talk? Can't we try to sort things out? I looked at her and the kids stared angrily at her. Stacy and I needed to have a discussion, but not in front of the children. So I handed Jason a few 20s and said, why don't you and Michelle go see a movie? Then grabbed some pizza afterward. Okay. They both nodded as they left, but they remained silent toward Stacy and she noticed. Once they were gone, Stacy sank into a chair. They hate me. My own kids hate me. Well, what did you think would happen? They found out you were with another man. So, what now? I heard Kevin wants to press charges against Michelle. If that happens, I'll make sure everyone knows about this mess in the news. You need to talk to your ex-boyfriend, and if he doesn't cooperate, tell him you'll press assault charges against him. Got it? She nodded and started crying again. What about us? Chris, what about our marriage? I'll be speaking with a divorce attorney next week. You should do the same. As far as our marriage is concerned, it ended years ago. I'll take full custody of the kids because frankly Michelle might attack you with a baseball bat while you sleep. Do you really want to live in fear of your own kids? They don't love you as much after finding out about you and Kevin. Look, this is going to be messy, no matter how we deal with it. I know I'll regret saying this, but it might be smart for you to get a lawyer and figure out your options now, she said, starting to cry again. Chris, I don't want a divorce. I want our family back. Please help me. You didn't just cheat on me, you cheated on our whole family. The kids don't want anything to do with you. You really messed up, Stacy, and I'm not sure if I want to keep our marriage going. Tell me what I need to do to keep our family together. I'm so sorry, she cried harder. A good start would be for both of us to talk to Kevin and convince him to drop the charges against Michelle. Then we need to talk about why you did this and see if we can save our marriage. I'm not making any promises. If you're willing to be honest, we might have a chance. I can talk to Kevin alone. You don't need to come, she said quietly. This involves our daughter, and as her father, I'm coming with you. She nodded, looking defeated. Soon we were driving to the hospital to talk to Kevin. I wasn't expecting it to be a pleasant conversation. When we got to his room, I saw both his legs were raised by ropes, his knees wrapped in bandages, and one arm was in a cast, probably from trying to defend himself from Michelle. I smiled to myself, thinking, I bet Stacy's already thinking about buying Michelle a car for her next birthday. Even though she's still 2 years away from getting her driver's license. Kevin noticed us come in. He looked pretty out of it, probably from the pain medicine. I hope that wears off soon. Hey, if it isn't the loving couple, come in and see what she did to me, he said calmly, sounding almost inebriated. Please, Kevin, we just want to talk. It doesn't have to be ugly, Stacy said with a quiver in her voice. She was anxious, but I couldn't grasp the reason until he revealed. I instructed you to terminate the pregnancy 14 years ago, but no, you insisted on having another baby, even if it wasn't as Kevin hissed. I turned to Stacy puzzled. What is he talking about? What did he mean that Michelle isn't mine? Oh, he's just talking nonsense because of the drugs. Don't listen to anything he says, she said, trying to calm down. She was shaking visibly now. Really? Well, then I guess a DNA test will prove without a doubt that she's my daughter. Maybe I should get one done for Jason too, just to make sure he's mine as well. What do you think, honey? I was angrier than I'd ever been. Stacy ran out of the room crying. I just stood there, then turned back to Kevin, staring him down. Okay, here's what you're going to do first. You withdraw the charges against Michelle second. You keep away from my family. As for Stacy, continue your affair, as she will not be my wife much longer. Understood, both of you can have all the freedom you want now. He began to weep. That action ensured I would never be free again. Yes, I'm buying her a car for her next birthday, I confronted him. Is she your daughter? He nodded, speechless. Then I asked, so you and my wife have been having this affair for the last 15 years? He nodded. It hurt my pride a lot, and I was glad she wasn't there or I might have hurt her. I sat down, lost in my thoughts, feeling foolish for not realizing sooner. Then I remembered her past health issues, the ones she never explained. With a terrible suspicion, I looked at Kevin. Was that health issue she had a few years back another pregnancy that was ended? I threatened to tell you that neither Michelle nor the poor old woman asked one were yours if she didn't abort, he confessed. I was devastated, and I buried my face in my hands and cried. After I pulled myself together, I left Kevin's room. In the waiting room, I found Stacy looking out the window. As soon as she saw me, she walked with me to our car. Once inside, we sat in silence until she attempted to speak. I know you must despise me, but it's not as you think, she began. I interrupted her sharply. If you claim it was just a fling, you'll end up next to Kevin. When were you planning to tell me about the abortion? When were you going to admit Michelle isn't my daughter? She began to cry again, but this time I was indifferent. Here's the plan, and if you disagree, it will unleash a storm that will bury you. Understood, she nodded. First, our marriage ends tonight, and you'll move out immediately. You can never go back to that house again. I'll have full custody of our kids. You can visit them, but only if they agree. If they don't want to see you, that's final. If you ever tell Michelle I'm not her dad, I'll tell everyone you had a baby with your lover and had an abortion, and I heard you quit your job to be with Kevin, she said, trying to avoid facing the harsh truth. Stacy, I never want to see you again, and stay away from my kids. Understand? They're my kids too, she said. No, not anymore. You can only see them if they say yes, but they probably won't. When we get home, pack up your stuff and leave, I said. She was still crying. Where will I go? Call your parents, call a friend, ask if you can stay with Kevin, get a tent and camp in the park. I don't care. You can go anywhere, I said angrily. We drove back to my house and pulled into the driveway. We sat there for a few minutes without saying anything. Finally, I asked, Why, Stacy? Was it not enough for you? The family we started, the nice home, was it the sex? She just sat there. It meant nothing to me. He was great at sex, and then he began to blackmail me when Michelle was born. I do love you. Can we at least try? And I shouted 15 years. Stacy, you cheated on me for 15 years and you want to work it out. Get out of my house now. I got out of the car and stormed into the house. A few minutes later, she came in and began to pack. An hour later, she had her bags packed and several cardboard boxes filled with her stuff. She went out the front, opened the door, and loaded her car. Then she came back in. I'll need to come back to get the rest of it. I'll be staying at my parents'. Can I call you and arrange a time to pick it up? I nodded. You ruined a good thing. Stacy, I hope you know that. She just looked at me, then left. About 2 hours later, the kids came back and looked around. Jason asked, Where is Mom? She doesn't live here anymore, I told him. I'll have custody of you too, and she can visit if you agree to see her. Sorry, guys, but our marriage couldn't be saved, I said. Michelle came over and hugged me. Thanks, Dad. We love you, she said. Are you okay? Jason asked. No, but I will be with you two by my side, I said, holding them close. 8 years later, as time passed, Michelle, Jason, and I were able to move on from what Stacy did to our family. The kids didn't want anything to do with her and only let her visit for an hour or two every other weekend if they didn't have any games or other activities scheduled. They almost always had something planned for those weekends. I tried to mend things and get them to see her more, but as soon as Jason said she could go to hell, Michelle pretty much did the same thing, and it crushed Stacy. It was the first time in a long time I felt sorry for her. Kevin was released from the hospital and dropped all charges after I talked to him again. I warned him that if he pursued having Michelle charged with assault, I would have Stacy file rape charges against him. He now walks with a cane, and it's rumored he can't perform sexually anymore, even with Viagra. The last I heard, he had seen many specialists, which must have cost him a small fortune, but with no success. Too bad. At Michelle's request, we had a DNA test done, and it turned out she is my daughter. When we found out, we held each other and cried. We were both so relieved. Now my question is, was the child that Stacy had terminated mine as well? That thought will be with me until the day I die. Stacy lived with her parents for a couple of years and found a full-time job. Then later, she moved out of state and we lost touch. She does send the kids birthday and Christmas cards, but the kids always send them back unopened. And Michelle went to college to become a nurse. Both are doing well in school and are dating. Jason has a steady girlfriend, but Michelle said she wants a guy just like me. I think she can find someone better than him. It took me several years before I felt ready to date again, but eventually I met a really nice woman and we see each other regularly. I'm not in a rush to get married again, and I probably won't. The pain is still there, but it gets a little easier each day. Thank goodness for my kids. Now, on to the second story. Should I stay or should I go? I found out that my husband had decided to reconnect with his friend within 3 months of our wedding. Let me tell you our story. We met when I was 44 and he was 51. We had both been through the ups and downs of previous marriages and faced many challenges in past relationships. Early in our dating journey, as we explored our personal in the past, we exchanged stories of errors, sorrows, and the anguish of being betrayed, a common experience for both of us on multiple occasions. We started this journey hoping to find simplicity, truth, and transparency, avoiding drama and needless complexity. Personally, I avoid playing mind games and testing in relationships. What you see is what you get with me. I believe in treating others as I wish to be treated. Despite admitting to my imperfections as a chaotic individual and sometimes being difficult, I take pride in my straightforwardness. Over 5 years, we never engaged in a serious argument. We had minor disagreements, but never anything involving severe words or real anger. Our relationship was marked by fun, friendship, and the enthusiasm of lovers. I managed all household chores, cooking, cleaning, and shopping because I enjoy taking care of my loved ones. He, on the other hand, took care of most of the household expenses. Even though I didn't really want to, he kept pushing for us to get married. Even when I said no, he was really insistent. Our intimate life was good and satisfying, at least I thought so. But as our first year of marriage went on, he started to distance himself from me. He didn't want to spend quality time together anymore. He became more distant, and sometimes he was grumpy or even rude. I didn't understand why he was so obsessed with his phone. He was more interested in it than in our first anniversary dinner. He hardly looked up from it. Then, I accidentally found some really bad stuff on his phone. He had asked her for a photo, and she had sent one of herself bending over at her desk, pulling her pants down to her knees like a dog going to the bathroom. He reacted strongly, saying crude things about how much he liked being intimate with her. They had been involved casually for 20 years, even when she was married, and she's still married to the same man. A few months after our anniversary, my husband apparently reached out to her under the guise of a seemingly harmless business inquiry, which soon escalated into exchanging explicit photos. This led to a 6-month affair, which I was oblivious to until I uncovered their clandestine relationship. The affair ended only because I caught them in the act. Their plans had included trips together, making videos, and participating in various endeavors. He openly admired her physical traits despite her having what he referred to as a flat backside and droopy breasts with no eyebrows and dull eyes. While I do not wish to boast, he has described her as unattractive. Despite me being 7 years his senior, I keep up a figure that features a full bust and curvaceous backside. Regrettably, he has never shown the same enthusiasm for photos of me. Efforts to inject creativity and spontaneity into our personal life have encountered awkwardness and unease. Enjoying viewing explicit acts on screen. Yet he has no wish to experience these activities with me. He talks to her in a very open way, but he's more reserved when he's with me. He's not as eager about oral sex with me, even though he seems more interested when it comes to her. He prefers quick and graphic encounters with her in the dark, then asks me if I'm satisfied as if he doesn't really care. He says he likes her because she's discreet, keeping quiet about their activities. He can avoid being seen with her in public, but she's willing to meet him in different places, like leaning against his truck or a random dumpster, and then just going about her day. Now, he says it wasn't worth it and promises it won't happen again. He says he wants to stay married to me, but he avoids talking about the details. He says he cheated because he wanted to feel the excitement of their early romance from 20 years ago. What's ironic is how he used to talk about women who cheated on him in the past. He was shocked and said terrible things about them, finding it unbelievable that someone could deceive him. Now, he says it's all over, and I should just move on, he says. But he keeps saying, "But I love you. I never wanted to leave you," even though he clearly thought about leaving me for her, just for fun near a dumpster. He thought he could have a good time without me finding out or getting hurt, leaving me wondering when I stopped being fun. If I hadn't caught him, he would have been happy to keep betraying me. I feel disgusted and hate myself, even though I still love him deeply. I feel numb and wish I could find a way out, but I don't want to hurt myself. I'm torn between loving him and feeling angry at him, and I've thought about getting back at him by cheating too. But I don't really want to stoop to that level. I know I need help from a therapist, but I can't afford it because I don't have enough money. Second story, been back and forth with cheating ex-30F for months. Why can't I 27 and leave? In June 2023, I went to visit my family after not seeing them for 3 years because of the pandemic and work. Unfortunately, my girlfriend couldn't come with me to the US because her passport wasn't strong enough to get a visa. I trusted her, so she went on vacation while I was away. 6 months later, in January 2024, I found out she cheated on me during her vacation and had been flirting with other men since then. I was devastated and asked her to leave the house. But it wasn't easy to let go. We stayed in touch, continued seeing each other, and even tried to work on our relationship in March. However, things turned violent during a big fight. Now, in April, we've both admitted that we still love each other despite everything that's happened. Her story of why she cheated was because she felt alone in the relationship. That because she felt I wasn't there emotionally, neglected her, made comments about how she kept the house dirty, but mostly just not communicating in a positive manner. Looking back, yes, I could have definitely been a better boyfriend, and since April of this year, I have vowed to honor that. Now, just a couple nights ago, she goes through my phone and sees that I'm still clinging on to 2 girls that I have been in contact. Nothing but respectful conversations, and I was already nearly ending things there. Now, just the other night, I saw an opportunity to look through her inbox and found that there have been flirtatious texts and conversations between guys during the entire 3 years of our relationship. I'm not asking here what to do because I know it's not right, but for some reason I can tell that those guys really don't mean anything and that she does actually love me, but she just can't shake the other guys. I want to leave her, but why can't I? Why am I stuck to this toxicity? P.S. I hope this makes sense. Kind of high on emotions and just looking for people to share this with. Thanks for joining us on this chapter of Relation Tales. If you were moved by these stories, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Don't miss out on the upcoming emotional roller coaster of relationships. Your support means the world, and we can't wait to share more compelling tales with you. Until next time, remember, every relationship has a story worth telling. See you soon.